Welcome to another episode of the Inspired Hive podcast. This is the show for entrepreneurs, leaders, CEOs, and professionals looking to rise to next levels of success. Join us each week as we explore leadership, innovation, and the entrepreneurial journey, fueling your mind with the inspiration and strategies to make your vision a reality. I have Dr. Kim Gemeinhardt with us today. She is a veterinarian who works with horses and livestock. She is the sole owner of Latitude 36 Mobile Veterinary Services, and that's been her practice since 1993, the year that she graduated from veterinary college. She is passionate about her work and gets up every morning inspired to head out to the farms. She served on the Veterinary Medical Board for 10 years and has just completed 14 years of volunteering, including 10 years on the board of AAVSB. There's a no-nonsense and endearing side to Kim, and she is full of life lessons of practice, business, and leadership. Have a listen in. Kim, I am just thrilled to welcome you to the Inspired Hive podcast.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm a little humbled by what you were just saying. I just kind of keep going.
Well, I know I've had to kind of twist your arm a little bit, but I am super excited that you agreed to come on and chat with me because the conversations we've had over the years are just so rich of interesting nuggets and experiences and lessons from both a business side and a leadership side that I feel are just super rich, and I'm excited you're willing to share that out with others.
Well, I'm delighted to do this with you. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I would love to start with where your story begins or began.
Right. Okay. Well, if we take the main part of my life, which is being a veterinarian and working on livestock, the first person I ever told that I was going to do this was my grammar school principal. I was in the second grade.
Oh my gosh.
And I kind of took the scenic route because back in the day, women did not work on large animals. And I was discouraged the first time I went to college. I was very discouraged about, you can go to vet school, but you get to work on puppies and kitties, which is fine, but not for me. So I quit and I went off and had a life and worked at different jobs and did different things, always with my eye on vet school, knowing I would come back and come around to it. I just had to prove that I could, and I had to earn some money. So I did that. I earned the money, and my husband was very supportive and encouraged me to do this. And so I sold two companies and went to vet school. It was great.
And what brought you back? Like, what was the timing of that?
I graduated vet school when I was 40. I was a significantly older student, not the oldest one in the school, but the oldest one in my class. And it was just time for me to do it. It just was. I had been training horses for a long time, but I had other jobs and work that I was doing so that I could earn the money to go to vet school. And we were married, and my husband was a ship's captain, and he had to test for licenses and stuff, and his big license came in the mail back way before internet days. Called him short a ship, which we never did because it was so expensive. And I called him and I said, I've got your license. And he was so excited. He said, I can work 3 more years and I can retire. And I said, now you just wait 1 minute. I have supported you through all of this stuff and you got your big license and I want to go to school. So I could sell one business and I could do the other one part-time, because I was running 2 of them, and I could go to school part-time. And he said, you're out of your mind. He said, sell them and go to school. And I did. That was in November. And I went back to college in January.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to drop back to what were the businesses that you owned at that point?
I did a lot of different things. A lot of sales oriented type of businesses. I worked in retail for a while, and I worked in I actually was a real estate broker on the beach in Florida,
Oh,
was the job that I quit to go back to school. And I owned a custodial firm because I did rental management stuff. So that kind of went hand in hand, and it was great. I could get paid for renting the place out, and I get paid for cleaning it.
it's always interesting to me. I've seen this in my own career and life of how different aspects that don't make sense at the time quilt themselves together, right? To kind of culminate in maybe the things we need to learn or that help us with the things we do in the future. But we don't always realize that at the time.
And I'm not sure I could name any specific lessons that I got from these other jobs, like real specifically, except I learned a lot of people skills, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people skills. And being a veterinarian is not just messing with horses, it's getting past that horse owner to get to the horse.
Mm-hmm.
So people skills are a very important feature of what I do every day. And those jobs were helpful in training me to do that.
I'm curious about your experience in vet school. One of the big kind of launching points for me in terms of my business and consulting now is the lack of education in my graduate program about owning a business, running a business of practice. And I'm curious in vet school, did you get that?
Nothing.
Mm.
But I had a business background.
Yeah.
So I was not afraid. We were told over and over and over again, you're not going to graduate school and go into business. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to fail. It doesn't work. And I couldn't find a job I wanted. So I created one, but I had already been in business. I
Mhm.
understood about keeping books and records and making plans and having a 3-year plan and a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. I understood about that kind of thing. So I kind of came in, I kind of slid sideways into
Mhm.
this whole thing. And again, there weren't many openings for women to do large animal work. And so I just chose an area where there wasn't another one. So that I was the only game in town.
Have you always been in North Carolina, or is that where
No,
school planted you, or is that something completely outside of school?
I grew up in northern New Jersey.
Okay.
I actually, at one point, worked in Manhattan. And then I ran off and went to Florida, and we lived in Florida and several different places for a while. And I did retail stuff there. And then I decided to go to vet school, and we sold the house and moved to Auburn so I could go to school in Alabama. And while we were there, my brother was doing his MBA at Wake Forest. And so we would drive up from Alabama and visit with him and his family once or twice a year. And that program was 2.5 years or something. I forget. He got into his MBA program and graduated before I completed my whole veterinary career. But every time we'd go home, I would say to my husband, I could live there. That area, it's a good area.
Mhm.
It feels like home. And so that's what we did. We had a little place in Alabama and sold it and bought some land and moved up here like we knew what we were doing.
Now, you've always been around horses.
Well, only since I was 12.
What intrigued you about horses?
Oh my goodness. The oh my goodness. I don't know how to define this. There's an essence to them that is important in my life. When my father was deathly ill, truly dying, he and I had many conversations about things that we had never talked about before. And I said to him at that time, I said, Dad, I will never live without a dog and a horse I can ride.
Mm.
It's that important. I'd live in a tent. It's that important. It just is part of who I am. But you know what? I was a horsewoman way before I was a veterinarian. When I walk into the stable, those horses know I'm home.
Hmm.
Even the crazy wild ones that people say, be careful, be careful. I can manage that. I can get along with them. It's an important piece of me.
It's an energy or a vibe.
Somehow, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess having been around enough crazy ones, you kind of learn how to handle yourself.
Oh. What inspires you, Kim?
You know, you've asked that question when I spoke with you and stuff, and I don't know. To inspire me. I, hmm, I don't have an answer for that. I really can't define that
Mhm.
from my perspective and what I think about when you say inspire. I do spend time alone every day, and that's very important to me. I have time that it's I call it my Zen moment. I kind of
Mhm.
just chill and let my brain go, and I think it's almost like a meditation session, and I do it every day. First thing in the morning before dawn, and I sit outside and I watch shooting stars, and it's uh, it's an important moment in my day, but I don't know that that's inspiration as much as it's just kind of clearing my mind and keeping myself on track.
Mm. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, but
Yeah. I know you do some other things in addition to your practice related to, helping veterinarians. And some of that's been the volunteer work that I met you through, but you also help others kind of find their journey in the field. And I'd love for you to talk a little about that.
for the past a little over 13 years now, I've been coaching foreign graduated veterinarians who come to the US and Canada and they need to get a license to practice medicine here. And to do that, they have to take this really demanding test. And they have to take the national boards and they have to prove that they went to vet school and all of they have to take English as a second language, but they have to take what's called the clinical proficiency exam,
Mm.
and that is a hands-on exam. It lasts 3.5 days, and they have to do everything. They have to spay an animal, they have to take x-rays, they have to read lab reports, they have to work up a medicine case. And so many of these foreign graduates have never handled large animals. They've never been
Mm.
around large animals, and if they have, they haven't been really able to like work on them. They've been able to observe.
Mhm.
So they come to me because they've got to get in there and they've got to talk about floating a horse's teeth and palpating a cow for pregnancy, and they have to physically do these projects. So they come to me, and I have been training them, and I warn them when we start. Every time I get started, I said, "Listen, I cannot make you a horse doctor in 5 days. I cannot do it, but I can teach you to take a test." And the test is rigorous and very demanding. But just this week, I got word from 3 recent candidates that they all passed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have a really high success rate with the program that I run, but I do just horses and cattle in that program. I don't, and goats a little bit. So it's only that part. If they're on their own on anesthesia and surgery and all the other small animal stuff, but I can teach them to do the large animal stuff.
How did you get started with that?
A friend of mine from Australia had to actually go through that program when she came originally 30
Oh,
odd years ago.
okay.
And she wound up a circumstance in her life, and she was helping a couple from India. They were both veterinarians, and they had no large animal experience, and she had some time, so she helped coach them on the equine part. She wound up coming back and living here on the farm in our guest house for a period of time, and she is the one that talked to me. She said, Kim, you're built for this. You're built
Hmm.
for this. You like to teach. You have wonderful horses. You've got the facility to do this. Just give it a try. And I was like, Jiminy, I've got so much to do. I don't know that I can. She said, you're really going to like it. You're really, really. So she talked me into it, and we put the notice out on my website. In 24 hours, I had my first candidate who flew in from Canada, and he passed his test. And she
Wow.
helped me because I'm an American vet. I didn't have any knowledge of the kinds of things that they would have to do. And the test has changed over time, as it should. So every year, I'm very careful to see what procedures they could be asked to perform, and
Hmm.
that's how I build my program to cover everything for them. But we ripped through it, man. 5 days is not a long time.
Right. But what an interest, she planted that seed and also watered it and pruned it.
I just booked someone for next April. I mean, they book
Fantastic.
far in advance because you can't. I don't do it every week, and I only take two at a time, and so it's in demand. But I have a practice to run. I
Yeah.
have my own my own veterinary practice to run, so I can't do this all the time. So Over the years, I've probably averaged about 40 candidates a year,
Wow.
which is a lot.
Yeah. And a whole separate kind of component of another different aspect to your practice, but also business in terms of kind of leveraging what you can offer to others
Exactly.
in the
Exactly.
field.
I love being a veterinarian. And we have a shortage right now. I want to encourage these people to get their license and go to work.
Mhm.
None of them that come through my program are going to do large animal because they already have that education. They have that background. They don't need me. I work with the ones who are going to do other things. They're going to work in small animal, they're going to work in
Mhm.
research, but they need to get the license. And so I can coach them to get through those sections of the clinical proficiency exam. And then they run screaming out of the barn and they never want to come back, you know.
There's something about those large animals that.
It can be intimidating. I've had people
Yeah.
stand outside my horse's stalls and cry. They're so terrified,
Wow.
but
Wow.
they do okay. We get them through.
Well, and you have the component too of they're your animals, so you've had the training aspects with them as well in terms of helping them be tolerant and resilient to these strange people coming in and not knowing
Exactly.
what to do with them.
My horses have to tolerate all the mistakes and
Mhm.
not get upset or angry that somebody did something differently or wrong.
I'm curious, as you think about, all of the business adventures, all of your leadership adventures, um, what's the biggest lesson that you've been blessed with
Oh
in
my.
those times?
I suppose it's that I can do anything I damn well please. You really can. If you just decide that's what you want to do, you can do it. I'm proof. I couldn't go to vet school and be a large animal vet, right? I couldn't do it. And a Yankee woman coming to North Carolina to work on cattle, it was not going to happen. Here I am. Yes, you can. You can do anything you want to do, but you have to really want it, not just think you want it. You have to
Mm.
really want it in your soul.
Wow, that's such a significant lesson, right? In terms of timing, it might not happen right at the time other people think, or when it's convenient, but it's that effort and deep meaning that you derive from it that really makes it possible.
And I think it can come from into all aspects. Some people want to raise a family, and that is like their ultimate goal. And other people want to fly an airplane, and that is like their passion. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be my goal for everybody. You don't have to think like me. But one of my favorite lines is find out what you do, what you want to do it well, and do it well enough to be paid.
Mm.
It's remarkable to me. These guys call me, I go out and I work on their horses or their cattle or whatever, and I have all this fun and I have a great time, and then they pay me. It's so amazing.
It's that combination of fun that's work or
Absolutely.
fun that's service for others and that keeps you in all the things that you want to do and manages the practice from that kind of financial standpoint.
Not every aspect of it is fun, but it's
Sure.
all a responsibility of doing this job and doing it well. uh, you have to take the good with the bad, and there's very little bad that comes into my days. There's
Mm.
sad moments and unhappy moments and frustrating moments, but it's all part of the whole milieu. And sometimes that's the challenge that you need is to
Hmm.
be not so thrilled all the time.
Yeah. Or realize it doesn't have to be thrilling all the time to still be rewarding
Exactly.
in the meaning. Yeah. I think some folks find it very difficult to figure out I'll say, figure out their why or know what it is they want to do because they've been kind of following a process of doing what other people think they should do. And I'm curious if you have some insights of that want. Where did that come from for you, or what would you offer others in helping them find that?
Growing up in the time that I did in the 50s and 60s, it was still an era when women were expected to, you could have a job, but you were expected to get married and produce a family. This was an ultimate goal for most women. That's what I was taught was going to happen. And I kept thinking that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. Um, Luckily my mother was a rather independent thinker and had some very impressive. She had a very, very impressive job. But when she got pregnant and started a family, she quit that job, walked out, because that's what women did.
Mhm.
And I think that just kind of bucking that system and saying, no, I'm not going to go that route. I'm just not going to do that. It wasn't always easy. And a lot of people have, over the years, especially when I was much younger, were very mean about it. Really, really mean. What do you
Mhm.
mean you're not going to have children? Well, it's you don't have to. It's not a rule. You can do whatever you want. And as far as finding your passion, I think that that's important to recognize that just because somebody says you should do it this way doesn't mean it's the way you should do it.
Mhm.
You can take their advice and consider it, but go and explore other opportunities. If you're good at math, go figure out if you want to be an engineer, or if you want to work in medicine, or if you want to be a teacher, or if you want to be a parent and raise a family. Or there's so many decisions, and just because somebody says you should doesn't mean you should.
Oh, I love that. I often use the mantra, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Oh boy, I say that twice a day, I'm sure.
Mostly it's related to technological kinds of things, but it does apply and it's very similar. So, I always give folks an opportunity to brag on themselves for a moment of things they have going on or things that they're working on, and I wonder if there's something you want to share with the listeners.
Well, having been involved in regulatory medicine for the past million years, um, like you said, I was on the North Carolina board for 10 years, and you just time out on that. You can't stay on forever. And
Hmm.
then I've been working with the AAVSB for 14 years. I just stepped down from being the past president. I am now no longer on their board, and it's kind of um, it's kind of like, oh, all the doors and windows are open now. What am I going to do next? And people
Hmm.
are asking me that a lot, and I don't know what I'm going to do next. I've had some ideas about other ways to serve, because I truly believe in serving your community in
Hmm.
some fashion way. I was on the board of health here. I mean, I taught CPR. I've done a lot of different things, but I do believe in serving your community in some fashion. So something will come along. I have this is what, a month, not even a month
Yeah.
since I've stepped off the board. So I'm kind of taking a very, very good friend of mine called me up and said, take a step back, take a
Hmm.
breath, think about it. Don't just dive, just plan what you want to do. And he was right. He was right. I'm taking my breath.
Well, we will
Um,
stay tuned on that. As we're wrapping up, I wonder if there's a piece of advice that you'd like to share with the listeners. Maybe it's something someone shared with you, or that you may have learned the hard way, or something that you would offer up.
my most recent mantra, because they change over the years and your life and things going on, but my most recent mantra is the only constant is change.
Mm.
Heraclitus in the 4th century BC, fabulous philosopher, just amazing philosopher, but he was right. He was right. You cannot step in the same river twice.
Mm-hmm.
And that, but that the only constant is change really works in life, because no matter what, the weather changes. You change your clothes, for goodness sakes. Everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only constant. It's the only thing you can count on. Everything else can go.
I love that because it offers the opportunity of new, right? And
Absolutely.
there's so many folks don't want things to change, yet they're constantly changing. And the more we can embrace that change, I think the easier the flow is to really grow and learn and appreciate or have the gratitude from those lessons that may
And
be
that may be
challenging.
how you discover your passion.
Mm,
If you just allow that change, don't
yeah.
fight it, just do it. It's inevitable.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We could talk all day, but I do like to contain these, so I will always offer to have you back on for the
Let me
next
know. This has been
the
fun.
next version. I wrap up every episode with a quote, and I select the quote ahead of time. And I knew because I was speaking with you, I wanted to pick a quote from James Harriet, which was my early introduction to the world of veterinary medicine. And he's a vet and an author. And I could not decide between two of them. So I'm going to share them both because I think they really do sum up a lot of the things that you shared with us, Kim. The first one is, at times it seemed unfair that I should be paid for my work, for driving out in the early morning with the fields glittering under the first pale sunshine and the wisps of mist still hanging on the high tops. And I think that speaks to me in some of the things that you've shared as well and echo. And I think also there's challenge in the work that we all do. And the other quote that I found is, there have been times in my life when confronted by black and hopeless circumstances, I've discovered in myself undreamed of resources and courage and resolution.
Those are wonderful. Those
Yeah.
are wonderful quotes.
And they speak to the things that you have shared with us today. And I'm so grateful for you being here. I love spending time with you and chatting. And I know it's going to be one that a lot of folks take inspiration from. So thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for spending time with us on the Inspired Hive podcast today. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Inspired Hive Podcast and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on what's coming up next. Can't wait to have you back, and as always, live inspired.